Hey players, I'm here with Tripp Kramer from Tripp Advice, and we're going to talk to you guys about different things that guys focus on way too much that girls don't care about as much. So I'm here with Tripp. Tripp, I want to introduce you here. Say hi.
Hey man, it's good to be on here. It's funny because I've seen your channel for a long time, years, and it's just cool to finally be connecting with you and talking to your audience. So I'm happy to be here.
Definitely, yeah. So we're going to share a few of the things that guys tend to focus on. We're going to talk about that and talk about how you can kind of recognize what's important and what's not important when it comes to finding someone to talk to, someone to date, and someone to just build a relationship with.
This is the Josh Beef. You're watching the Josh Beef.
So the first things I wanted to kind of jump into here mainly is kind of physical attributes and physical looks. I feel like a lot of guys put emphasis on things like height, things like whether they're muscular, whether they have facial hair, all these different kinds of physical features that they end up comparing themselves to other guys with, and they feel like they're lacking in this, they're lacking in that, and that kind of holds them back. What's your kind of take on that?
So I have a two-part answer to that. Basically, let's play real quick in the reality that all that stuff does matter. Okay, so I will sit with the guy right now and say, okay, height matters, looks matter, money matters, status matters, all these things. Still, I don't think that's a good excuse not to try. It's like, why wouldn't you try anyways? Because you know for a hard fact that any woman is always looking for those things. That can't convince me enough to ever not to try. Okay, so I'll just say that. But let's go into what the reality is. The reality is that, yep, women want a guy who's tall. Yep, women want a guy who has money. Yep, a woman wants a guy who's successful. Yep, woman wants a guy who's good looking. Yep, woman wants a guy who's a six-pack. There you go. They want that. Okay? However, and here's the good news, is that even though they would love to have those things, that's not necessarily what's going to get them attracted. Okay? So first off, when a woman finds a great guy, she will rationalize all the reasons why that stuff doesn't matter. Okay? There's a ton of examples of women who have dated losers, so to speak, guys who live with their parents or who aren't successful or have nothing going for them. Of course, those guys don't end up lasting long, and there's going to be a breakup from that, but that happens all the time. I see couples all the time where the guy is short and the girl is tall. I see lots of guys who are not super successful at what they do and still being able to meet women. I see guys who are pretty chubby, and they're dating beautiful women. So how is this happening? Of course, I'm going to see probably in your YouTube comments, oh, he has money, all this stuff. Yeah, I'm sure, yes, that happens from time to time. Yes, women will go for guys because of money specifically. But why is this happening? All these examples that I've seen. It's because that all that stuff that I said there, right, all that kind of superficial stuff, while a woman would love to have a guy who has all that, really it's a guy's personality and behavioral traits that make the biggest difference in attraction. Okay? So it's the way he behaves. Women are wired to be attracted to a guy based more on his personality rather than his looks. Do looks help? Yes. Does money help? Yes. All that stuff helps, right? A girl's not going to be like, he's successful and tall, forget him. No, she's going to love that. But that's not necessarily what she needs to become attracted. And I've seen this time and time again, okay? So you have to develop your personality. You have to develop being fearless, how to be charismatic, how to talk to women, and how to show them that you are a secure man, that you don't care about those things. Now listen, if you're 5 feet tall, you live with your parents, and you need a nose job, like, is that going to be more of a struggle for you? I'm going to be honest. Yes, it probably will be. It probably will be versus Brad Pitt, right?
Yeah.
Right? But you can still work on your personality, work on your charisma, and be able to attract a quality woman. It is possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that one of the problems, I think, is that we always we focus so much on our own limitations, and then we use that to justify why we won't do something, why we won't talk to someone, why we won't put ourselves out there, why we won't, accept that there's rejection or failure along the lines of trying something new or just, like taking a chance. And I think that what I've experienced a lot in talking to a lot of my viewers and subscribers is that, a lot of them tend to be in the high school range, into college range. So they're in that process of discovering themselves, figuring themselves out. They haven't quite nailed down what they want to do with their lives or who they are. They're still developing their identity in a way. And I think a lot of times there is a lot of comparison. It's whether it's your parents putting pressure on you. Oh, look, these kids are successful. These kids are getting college degrees and you're not. There's social pressures, like kids are going out to parties and I don't really have friends. So I'm going to stay in my dorm and just study or watch TV or something like that. So, like there's a lot of kind of external things that people observe and they kind of just focus on the internal and say like, well, I don't have this, I don't have that. It's like, I'm just not good in comparison to them. What's your advice on kind of getting over that negative thought process?
Well, the values are different when you're in high school and you're in college. Girls and women are still girls and women. They're going to be attracted to the same things I discussed. But, when you're in high school, you're almost like bred by society to go for the more superficial stuff. Mm-hmm. That's why you see, the popular girls getting with the popular guys. And in high school, and then in college, I don't know. It depends on what kind of college you go to, but some colleges are really small and it almost acts like a high school once again. And the values are different. You know what I mean? It's more about like who you know and how cool you are and that stuff. It just you're living in a little bit of a different reality before 22 and after 22. I say 22 because that's mainly when people graduate college and go into the real world. It's like once you're in the real world, that stuff doesn't really exist anymore. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you can just be whoever you want to be. And if you're that guy who, like I said, has a good personality, is charismatic, is fearless, has purpose and mission in his life, knows what he wants to do, you're going to be able to attract a woman. Like it's going to be possible for you, where it might be a little bit harder when you're in high school and in college. So my advice to some of the younger guys is really do your best, like just optimize all the different areas of your life, right? It's just like try to be the most physically attractive you can be. Do your best to find out what you want to do with your life and taking the classes that will lead to that. Do your best to build hobbies and friends. So work on all that stuff. So you're not like, oh no, now I'm 22 thrown into the real world and I don't have any experience with anything, right? And continue to still talk to women. Okay, you know what? It might not happen. You might get rejected a lot more potentially, but still you're going to get that skill under your belt. And also, I don't think you're going to get rejected as much as you think. Because I'm being very general when I say that the girls in high school who are the popular ones go for the popular ones, and the girls in college only want to go for maybe the jocks there or the people in fraternities. Like that's a generalization. You could absolutely still be able to attract a high quality girl in those cases, but you're not if you don't even go out there and try it. So go out there, work on your social skills more than anything. So that by the time you're 22 and you're like, okay, now I'm in a big city or I'm in the real world, you're going to have that skill under your belt to be able to go and approach and talk to women. Like having that skill with maybe having been rejected 500 times in the past like 6 years is still amazing. I work with clients who are 30 years old and older, 40 years old and older, and they're coming to me because they don't have that skill under their belt. So imagine being able to rock that out at 22. So don't think like, oh, I'm getting rejected now. Oh, I haven't grown into myself yet. Oh, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. And let that all be an excuse to not at least try to build yourself in this time. Don't waste any time.
Yeah, definitely. And like my core message on my channel too is like work on being your best self. And I just see your best self as kind of constantly improving and growing and fine-tuning the things that you want, fine-tuning your identity. And identity comes up a lot because, a lot of my subscribers will talk about things that they like if they're into like anime or video games, Fortnite and all this kinds of stuff. And there's always a hesitancy or they're just fearful of kind of sharing that because they're always afraid that they're going to be considered geeky or weird. So kind of what's your take on people just like talking about the things that they're genuinely interested in? Are there some topics that girls just don't want to talk about at all? Is there something you should kind of like learn more about? Should you learn more about the news or sports or any of these general kind of topics so you're better at conversation, basic conversational skills?
Just whatever you like, own it. Own it. The second you're insecure about it or you're hiding it, you're going to be communicating to the other person that it is something that's stupid or nerdy or weird, right? Like if you say to a girl and you're really shy and you're like 17 years old and you're like, yeah, I play Fortnite. And it's kind of stupid, but like I play Fortnite. It's like, well, then it is stupid. Mm-hmm. If you think it's stupid, it is stupid. But the thing is, you don't think it's stupid because you play it.
Right.
So why are you saying that, right? So own whatever it is. Like own. Now, also, another tip that I give to guys is you should know a lot about everything. Like use the internet where you can just go and just read headlines for the day, go on reddit.com and just like get interesting information off of that website. Go check out headlines and just learn a little bit every day and get to know what's going on in the world. So yeah, maybe you're not into sports, learn a little bit what's going on with sports and politics and whatever topics there are. Like 10 minutes a day, brush up on some things so you can have things to talk about if it comes up, because you might find things that are interesting, even though maybe it's not like your hobby. But then with your hobbies, whatever they are, if you think they're geeky, they're only as geeky as you communicate them to be. Mm-hmm. And you'd be surprised. Like there's girls out there who play video games. And, it's like, to me, I don't know, maybe because I'm older now and maybe because I'm in the real world, I'm not sure what it is, but I feel like nothing's geeky anymore. It's like everything's kind of cool because everything has a little like cult around it. You know what I mean? Like nothing's really that geeky anymore. Like a lot of people are doing a lot of interesting things. So it's like, just go with it. You can maybe even meet girls within that realm. And if not, just own it.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm a huge wrestling fan, and it's like I encounter girls that love wrestling, girls that don't love wrestling. So, I'll talk about it with the people that care about it, people that don't care about it.
Or girls that are neutral about it. And what do you, like WWF or wrestler, what's going on?
Yeah.
And then you're just like, or WWE, whatever. You just tell them, you go, oh my God, and kind of tease them about it, like, you don't watch wrestling? Oh my, you're missing out. Okay, let me tell you about this. It's so cool. Mm-hmm. And explain to her why it's cool. She might still be like, nah, I'm not really into that. Okay, fine. So she'll never be into that. Whatever. Or she might be like, actually, that is kind of cool. Explain to her. Sometimes if you explain to people why something is fun, than just saying, oh, it's fun. Like, why is Fortnite fun? Why is wrestling fun to watch? Like, what is it? Some people might say wrestling's fun because it's a story. It's like you're watching an ongoing soap opera. Mm-hmm. But instead of it being a soap opera about relationships and family, you're seeing people, fight each other. So you're seeing all this cool action with the storyline involved, and that makes it interesting. Sometimes explaining to people why it's interesting gets people understanding, oh, you know what? I guess that's not so geeky anymore, or that's not so weird anymore because they understand it. Yeah. So if you can communicate in that way, that's really cool too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. One more thing I kind of wanted to dive deep into, it's that, I think as people are kind of growing up and they're moving through their kind of discovery phase of life, their early 20s or so, they're figuring out who they are, and they do encounter, let's say, rejection or failure. They didn't, get to do the thing that they want to do, and they might find themselves in a career or a job that they don't care about or they don't love. A lot of times people tend to dwell on their past mistakes, dwell on their failures. Even from your own experience, it's like when you were younger to where you are now, like looking back at how you were then, how has your mindset kind of shifted? And just in your interactions with everyday people as you've gotten older, have you seen you've grown and changed as a person?
I think I just accepted myself for who I am more and care less about what people think, Mm-hmm. Even now, a guy might be like, oh, cool, like Tripp's a dating coach. Like, that's cool, There's a lot of people out there who don't think being a dating coach is cool, actually. There's a lot of people out there that think it's really weird and people who don't agree with it. It's a very controversial and polarizing profession. So I'm not dealing with just like, oh, look at me, look what I've done, look what I've created. I still get people backlashing, but I don't care because I love it and I think it's cool and I enjoy doing it and I believe I'm good at it. So all of that confidence just shows through. And I'm not looking to convince other people I'm not looking to convince other people that I'm a cool guy because I just know that I am, because I believe it. not from external validation, but from inside, from my own thing. Now, of course, that's not just like doesn't happen on a whim like that. I had to grow into that. I think that took time. The good news is whoever is still listening now that you have that awareness that it takes time, you got to start working on that stuff now, and being okay with who you are. How do you do that? I mean, it's a long process, but I think understanding that everyone else feels the same way that you do, and we all have our insecurities, and even the most powerful people in the world, or the people you think are the coolest, still have issues. Like sometimes you hear about these big actors, these big name actors like Robin Williams or Heath Ledger, who end up like taking drugs or committing suicide, and you're like, what? That person? Everyone loved you. Everyone would race to the movies to see you perform. You were rich. You could have any girl you wanted. What's the deal? Well, it's that not everyone is cut from the same cloth. We all have, or I should say, really the opposite. We all have our own shit, So stop focusing on other people and focus more on you. Focus more on you. And also, and a friend told me this the other day, and this is what I would say, focus on you for a while. Focus on learning how to like yourself, respect yourself, prove to yourself why you are a cool person. And if you don't think you are, start doing things that are interesting to build self-esteem. That's going to be creating goals and accomplishing them. That's the fastest way to build self-esteem. And do all that. And then after you're done with that, start focusing on giving to the world. So, balance it out with, okay, I feel good with myself. Let me start working on how can I give to the world? How can I help other people? Because that has been proven time and time again. And Tony Robbins talks about this a lot. He's a really famous personal development guru. And he talks about the number one thing that he believes leads to happiness is by offering something to somebody, by giving value to the world, helping in any way, shape, or form. So you're not just focused on yourself, but you're focused on other people. And when you're focused on giving to other people, the last thing on your mind is, how insecure you feel because you're only 5'6" and you want to be 6 feet tall. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I kind of said a lot there. I know it's not really linear, like kind of what to do first, but I just want to get some of those concepts out and tell guys, that all this stuff can be worked on. It just takes a little bit of time, but starting now, and accomplishing things.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you mentioned the giving piece, because what I've learned is that in giving, there's always three people that benefit. There's you who benefits from helping others. You feel that in your body. There's the person who's being helped, and then there's everyone else who's watching that. So that kindness kind of spreads out to everyone else that's observing kindness. So it's like if you get in that process of just helping others and in the process of being your best self and just kind of putting yourself out there, going after what you want, it's like everyone wins, all the boats rise. So, hey, Tripp, thank you so much for jumping on here and talking about these things. I'm really happy to have you on, and I'm happy that we can kind of talk more about bettering yourself and getting out of your mind and not dealing with negative thoughts and stuff like that. So,
yeah, cool, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. And, for all the guys out there that are watching this that are young, you said you have a young audience, life gets harder, but it gets better. Just remember that. Right now, you're like, if you're thinking like life sucks and high school's hard and college is hard and no one likes me, I get it. It's a tough time. I was there, but it gets better, challenging in different ways. But I'm 33 and I have way more life to live. But since high school till now, I just know that things start falling into place if you're focusing, in the right areas. So if you're going to be focusing on personal development and listening to Josh and all the awesome stuff that he has to say, and you're actually implementing it, life will get easier in that sense. So just don't give up and don't think that you're completely lost and you're not going to find your way. Just don't give up. It gets better.
Awesome stuff, man. All right. Hey, thanks for coming on again, and hopefully we'll talk again soon.
Thank you.
All right. See ya.